Good evening, everyone. May I have a mover and a seconder to call this meeting to order? Henry and Mike, that the Committee of Adjustments meeting held on June 25th, 2025 come to order at 6 p.m. All those in favor? Carried. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest this evening? Seeing none, may I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the previous minutes? Brad or Steve, Brad? That the Committee of Adjustments minutes dated May 28, 2025 be adopted as presented. All in favor? Carried. Welcome to this Committee of Adjustments meeting to allow the public an opportunity to express their views regarding the proposed minor variances and consents within the Township of Springwater. Each applicant and their agent is applicable, if applicable, will be given the opportunity to present the application to the committee and public. Additional information on each of the applications, including any presentation materials, is available in the committee agenda on Township's website. Following those members of the public who registered to make an oral submission prior to 5:30 p.m. June 24, 2025 will be given the opportunity to do so. All oral submissions will be included in this meeting's minutes and form part of the public record, including the name and address of the speaker as information collected under the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. The minutes of the meetings will be posted on the Township's website. All comments and questions should be addressed through the chair. Application 1. Will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the first application, item number 4.1 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.1 on the agenda is minor variance application A09/25 submitted by T. Morneau regarding lands known municipally as 1575 Gill Road. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit the construction of an additional residential unit within a two-story detached accessory building, which will exceed the total maximum area provisions and be deficient in the rear yard setbacks of zoning bylaw 5000 as described. A maximum total gross floor area for the additional residential unit of 189 square meters, whereas section 3.48.3A permits not more than 40% of the primary dwelling gross floor area to a maximum of 115 square meters. And 2, a reduced rear yard setback for the additional residential unit of 4 meters, whereas section 13.3.4B permits a minimum rear yard setback of 15 meters. And 3, a maximum total area of all accessory buildings or structures of 213 square meters, whereas section 13.3.9B permits a maximum total area of accessory buildings or structures of 115 square meters.
Have any additional correspondence or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, the Source Water Protection, and Enbridge Gas.
Can I please have the applicant introduce themselves and provide comment, if any?
I'm Trevor Moore. We don't have much comments. It's in your hands.
Perfect. Yeah, well, so we might have questions for you if you have. Are there any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
Thank you, Chair. There are no oral submissions.
Thank you. And any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Thank you. Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? Henry?
Yeah, through you, Chair, just the purpose of the garage and the living quarters.
Well, originally it was just a shop that I had a while ago that I was gonna do, and I just decided not to. Then my mother-in-law decided she was gonna move here. We lost her father-in-law a year ago, so she's moved up here with the family. So I decided now it's up at living quarters up there. She can't afford to buy anything here. She doesn't want to live with anybody, but she needs to get here. So we offered her that. So that's our agenda right now. It's for the mother.
May I have a motion from one of the committee members for application A09/25? Brad?
Thank you, Worship. I Would move that the application be approved as recommended by the township staff with any conditions included in the report, as well as conditions of the NVCA requiring their approval.
May I have a seconder? Mike? That the Committee of Adjustments, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and its surrounding as addressed in the planning report on the application dated June 25, 2025, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearings held on June 25, 2025, and the discussion of the matter hereby approved application A09/25. All in favor? Carried. Thanks very much.
I do have NCA approval already.
Will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the next application, item number 4.2 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.2 on the agenda is minor variance application A12/25 submitted by J. Nethery on behalf of C and T Huggard regarding lands known municipally as 1427 County Road 92. The purpose and effect of the application is to fulfill Condition 6 of Committee of Adjustment Decision B17/24 and B18/24 to recognize an existing detached accessory building with a reduced interior side yard setback as described. A minimum interior side yard setback of 0.9 meters, whereas Section 33.3.14.1H permits a minimum interior side yard setback of 3 meters.
Have any additional correspondence and or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, Enbridge Gas, the County of Simcoe, and Source Water Protection.
Can I please have the agent introduce themselves and provide comment, if any?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, members of the committee. I'm Joe Nethery, a registered professional planner. I'm on behalf of the Huggards tonight. Staff have done a terrific job of describing the nature and purpose of the variance. So if you'll indulge me, I might just keep this to be a very breezy, light little presentation. On the next slide. Awesome. So we have a particular photo to refresh committee's minds. My colleague Marcus Ruggiero presented virtually back at that October meeting as a part of this boundary adjustment for another application that we'll have lots to talk about, I'm sure. Part of making that work requires some recognition of some existing yard deficiencies around this lot. The Huggards are basically here just to get that recognized. If I may, we can probably just skip right to the third to last slide. There we go. It's in the rural residential designation of the official plan. It recognizes this legacy zoning that's existed in the former township of Ploss since from the former township of Ploss in time immemorial, it seems. We're keeping the existing use. There is no additional development that is proposed, which is entirely in conformity with the township's official plans, plural, ensuring that the use can continue forward. That the shed is recognized is an appropriate, in my opinion, appropriate and desirable for this use of land. And that'll help us clear these zoning conditions and get this land transaction done so the Huggards have ownership of their well. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
There are no oral submissions for this application.
Thank you. Are there any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Seeing none. Thank you. Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? May I have a motion from one of the committee members for application A12/25? Mike?
Sure, move that the application be approved as per the planning report.
I have a seconder? Steve? The Committee of Adjustments have been given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and its surrounding as addressed in the planning report on application dated June 25, 2025, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearings held on June 25, 2025, and the discussion of the matter hereby approve application A12/25. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the next application, item number 4.1 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.3.
4.3 on the agenda?
Okay. Item 4.3 on the agenda is minor variance application A14/25 submitted by J. Nethery on behalf of M&M Batista regarding lands known municipally as 1409 County Road 92. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit the construction of a second apartment building that will contain 4 apartment units, resulting in a total of 10 apartment units on the property.
Have any additional correspondence and or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from Enbridge Gas, the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, the County of Simcoe, and Source Water Protection.
Can I please have the agent introduce themselves and provide comment, if any?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello again. Thank you for letting me stay in this chair. It's been a warm few days. So I'm Joe Nethery, still a registered professional planner. I'm on for the Batistas as well. Their grandson Gabe is behind me in the audience tonight, and this is the main event that's been behind this previous application, this current application. First things first, Madam Chair, if you'll indulge with me, I'm gonna submit that I have some additional information that did not find its way into the committee's agenda package tonight. I brought 6, actually I have 7 copies to hand out of a few additional documents, including a record of an issued building permit, a history of water main installation, a receipt from the building department, the full copy of the correspondence that's included in the staff report, as well as a legal opinion with respect to the nature of the use on site. I'm hopeful that that can be distributed to the committee rather than bullying it out in front of everybody. So in my opinion, you'll have a complete record in front of you.
You can pass them. I don't know if we'll have time to read that, and it's not part of the agenda right now. I don't know how that works.
I understand. I'm just submitting, I'm handing it out in that, and it is there. If I get to the next slide, please. Thanks, Michelle. Oh, you're waiting for the last one. I understand. Michelle will just grab the.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mordew. Oh yeah, again. So we do have a context air photo on site. The apartments known as Jolly Farm Apartments are located west of Elmvale on approximately 19.5 hectare lot. The lands are generally forested. Back in the 1970s, they were generally farmed. Nature does what it does over the fullness of time, and you end up with the condition on the site as it exists today. One item I would tweak on that slide, there was a rural residential designation applying across the frontage of County Road 92, but generally speaking, the site is designated agriculture in the official plans. Next slide, please. Actually, we may as well skip the next slide here. This is on jurisdiction of the committee to consider this decision, but I note that hasn't come up in the reviews. I'm going to submit to the committee here. There's a core difference of opinion that exists on this property, and staff have put a planning opinion in front of you with respect to their staff report. I'm here to give you both my planning opinion, and the last item that's in the bundle that I handed over is a legal opinion with respect to the legality of the use on the lot. There's a long-standing residential history on this property. The building itself was turned into the apartment units in steps in the 1970s. The first such units were created in 1972. This is before there was a township building code. This would have been, so at the point when this was happening, it was, you were basically able to do these sorts of instructions. The provincial standard came in 1975. So that's how the housing units were created back in the day. And as much as I'm saying that about the legal history here, something else I should be really clear about. If this was a clear and vacant site today, I'm not here. The Batistas are not here today. We're here because you've got a quirky file and a quirky site in front of you. We note that over the fullness of time, and this is where some of these additional paperworks come out, we have a history of permits that have been issued on the site, a long history of various municipalities coming out to inspect the site, to understand the situations that are happening there. A number of works undertaken by the Batistas to remedy issues, to improve circumstances, and they fully recognize there may be some work that needs to be done should the committee ultimately approve this application tonight. I don't have the full paper record in front of you, but one of the items that's not really noted in the staff presentation is that there have been a history of permits, building permits issued here. And at least my understanding of how this process works is that a zoning check should be happening when building permits are issued. So the Batistas have been in at a minimum in 1999, in 2007, in 2014 for septic tank replacement. And one of the items that's in front of you is the issued building permit from 2019 for a porch. It was labeled as a lean-to. I'm told it's a porch roof, whatever, bureaucrats and language, right? My key point is this, is that at some point, while engaging with staff since the 2023 email came out, since my retainer boxing week of 2023 to tonight, is that at some point, the municipal position seems to have changed. And I can see and appreciate quoting the staff report. Yeah, the 2023 email maybe should not have gone out. Okay. I question why these 4 building permits then get to happen as well. So there's a pretty core question for me, and a big reason I'm coming out here tonight saying, this is good planning, it's reasonable, and it's limited, is that there's a history of acknowledging this use here. I'm hopeful that this record that's in front of you helps to bring some closure to that particular picture. And I'm bringing the legal opinion along with it as well, which I'll come back to. Next slide, please. We also note, so usually when we're dealing with legal nonconformity, right, it's a pretty simple test about reasonableness and limitedness. The township does have policy with respect to what it's looking for and considering when applications dealing with legal nonconforming uses come forward. Wanting to breeze through this fairly quickly, we're able to come up with a concept that meets the zone standards. We're able to come up with a concept that on a site where residential use is supported, where it's signaled as okay. We're able to put forward something that's reasonable, that's limited. I know that there are staff concerns, like at what point does this stop? So I'm here as a professional planner saying, I think this is a reasonable maximum that's here. In terms of the proportion, the scale, this additional building that's proposed, for the concepts that are included in your agenda, if we can put it in a location that's secure, it's safe, it's screened, it's not obvious, it's not bigger dominating than the existing building that's there, we think it's in a tasteful location and a tasteful presentation. Next slide, please. We're able to, again, meet those zone standards. We talk about we aren't adjusting land use designations. We're not affecting those per that particular test of the plan. With respect to noise, vibration, fume, smoke, dust, odors, those sorts of issues, we don't think there are any. We can put the air conditioners in the back. I hope that we aren't dealing with fumes with a residential fourplex, but you never know, right? I guess, but I think we can ultimately manage that and not create nuisance issues through this. Next slide, please. I've already bombarded you with about 170 pages in this agenda package, plus another 20 that I think I've handed out here. We did have a traffic report prepared that says we're not introducing traffic hazards, that the level of traffic is reasonable. We've prepared a functional servicing report that shows the septic system can be expanded and stays under the building code limit. We don't need a provincial approval to handle this particular design. Again, if we cross that threshold, I'm professionally not convinced that we would be dealing with a scale that's appropriate and reasonable. We're able to design a parking lot that would meet the zone standards. We can do the two spaces per 10 unit and deliver a lot of those compliances and those compliances should they be needed. Next slide, please. And noting that, you know, the township probably hears from a lot of people about building more housing. We're in a housing crisis. We can do some more things. Again, coming back to my core point about a reasonable proposal, a limited proposal that's here. Well, in the growth management strategy that has been approved by council as a part of the 23 official plan, it did contemplate additional housing units outside of settlement areas. That's that number 300 in the top right of the chart. So I know and acknowledge concerns in the staff report about should development be like this be happening outside of settlement areas. The growth management strategy contemplated this, and we're talking a maximum of 10 here. This is not a major subdivision. This is not a strip or ribbon development. It's a limited amount of new units. Next slide, please. The 23 official plan remains adopted. I think, like everybody, we're excited for Simcoe County to give that particular approval. If Mr. Mordu will humor me with one more click and then one more click right after that, I can zip through 3 slides of the same level of analysis that even under the new official plan, we would fit in under this framework that we're coming forward with that reasonable proposal itself. Next slide, please. And because we're obviously dealing with a mushy and a complicated sort of a site factor, as part of the application submission that came forward to the township, we did include some legal cases as well. I note that town staff are relying on some of those cases as well and are drawing different conclusions out of what those cases happen to say. And that's not uncommon and not a surprise when it comes to dealing with legal nonconformity. It is a weird and jumbled up, uneven, kind of messy component of planning law, at which point I continue to come back to, well, what is the core point of this thing? Our core test, we're not precluding the long-term redevelopment of the site. It's a reasonable approach. It's a limited approach. I'd like to think the balance of the literature that we've put in front of you as a proponent demonstrates that. And the agency comments that have come back on a technical perspective are also saying we don't really have any issues in this sense. They're asking policy questions that I submit don't really matter or apply when it comes to dealing with legal nonconformity. And even those that do, with the township signaling on things, I think I demonstrated that this proposal can satisfy those. So on the next slide, again, mentioning that the functional servicing brief about the septic design has come in. I forgot there's a stormwater management brief as well. We can handle the additional runoff that comes with the additional paved surfaces, not services on site. The traffic impact letter was reviewed and was satisfactory. And not in the agenda. I'm only providing this little snippet here. This isn't like a downtown Toronto weirdo case where a property has flipped a dozen times and nobody really knows the records. The Batistas have been on this land since 1970. And, I do have a prop, Mr. Batista behind me is ready to invite everybody down to a certain address in North York where you can investigate the archives yourselves personally, because he has everything from the 1970s. This isn't just some random attempt to try and shoehorn something in on a rural property. We think we have a very comprehensive record of what has been happening here since the 1970s. All starting off from an initial conversation with the Township of Floss that said, if you're dividing up this unit, that's what, we can't really stop you from doing that. That is the Batista's position. And I bring forward all sorts of rental receipts of records in front of you. The construction of the water main history out from Elmvale from 1972, a record of building permits, including one issued in 2019 by the current corporation, that if there had been an issue at some point, it would have changed. If we can go to the last slide, then thank you, Mr. Mordu, who, for the record, I really enjoy dealing with. I'm basically coming back here to say we're not subtracting from the ability of this property to redevelop, to go to another use under the zoning bylaw. What goals and policies do exist in the official plan? We do demonstrate that we're in alignment with those. It is providing housing. The township's policies have contemplated that, did factor in for units going into the rural area outside of settlement areas. I think is reasonable and limited. It's 10 10 total. We note the long history. We think that this site has been previously recognized as legal non-conforming by the township. The legal opinion with the TMA letterhead is in front of you to consider. And I'm just not sure what or how it changed, other than we received not we, but the Batistas did receive an invoice from the township last week with 4 pages of redaction in front of it that says, on October the 23rd, the legal non-conforming use issue was reviewed and a draft opinion was prepared and sent to staff, a draft opinion that we still don't have as an applicant, though I get a sense what it might have to say given staff's recommendation in front of you. So I'm here to say that this has been viewed as a legal use up until at least October 23rd of last year, with a long paper trail and a history behind that. And I hope that is persuasive as the committee makes a decision here tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
Thank you. There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission for this application.
Thank you. Are there any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Thank you. Do members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? Brad?
I just have a couple comments. I don't think they're questions. First one is policies do matter. They do. And saying that as a professional kind of bothers me. You're asking us to take your professional opinion. We also have the professional opinion of planners on staff. We have the professional opinion of planners in the county. Whose opinion do we take? I lean towards staff. We have the legal opinions as limited as they are. We only received yours today, so can't really review that or include that. And the question of is this legal non-conforming? It doesn't seem to be answered by any of this. And for that reason, I wouldn't support this application. Thank you.
Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've got quite a big shopping list here of questions and comments. So first question to staff was, in reviewing this staff report, here's the applicant is going through a rezoning and it's all of a sudden stopped midstream. Was there a pre-consultation that occurred before that ZBA was submitted?
Through the chair and the rest of committee, yes, pre-consultation took place in March 2024. If my memory serves me correct, I believe the ZBA was applied for in September of 2024. And then when we received this minor variance application, which I believe was May, we reached out to the agent to ask the status of the ZBA because we were nearing the appeal period of the ZBA. So we wanted to kind of make sure that we weren't in any contravention of the Planning Act. And the agent informed us that they were putting the ZBA application on hold and pursuing the minor variance at this time.
Follow on?
Thank you. This is where I don't understand why we're here coming through the committee for a legal non-conforming use. The ZBA process was the correct process to go through. This is something that reviewing even these documents here and these permits being submitted, these have to do with a septic replacement, a lean-to, like the applicant's planner said. Those types of permits don't come through zoning for review. Staff can correct me if I'm wrong. But septic permits, they're not subject to the zoning bylaw. Otherwise, we would have more variances potentially coming through this committee. So I don't think the documentation, just reviewing it quickly, doesn't, the permits that are being outlined here don't lead me to believe that this is a legal non-conforming situation. And the ZBA was the correct process to be going through. So even if the committee does decide to not support this variance request, the applicant can still go through council. Council can make that determination if it's appropriate or not. Because even looking through staff's report, it's saying it doesn't meet the intent of the official plan. So, you know, there's even a potential official plan amendment that needs to be applied for as well. And even the documents that were provided today, staff, have you seen these before today?
Staff?
Through the chair. They weren't submitted at the time of application. The building permits could have been accessed. We did know there was building permits on this property. However, these just weren't submitted at the time of the minor variance application. We did have the legal opinion because that was given to us, I believe, at the end of last year and reviewed by the township solicitor. So this one has been reviewed by the township solicitor, but the other things, I guess we could have just asked through building if we wanted to access them, but unfortunately, through speaking with the township solicitor and like, if I'm even just looking at this now, if building, if I'm correct, when they're reviewing a deck, they're reviewing the deck. They're not necessarily reviewing the house that's on the property or what that zoning is. If they were applying like for a house, then we would be reviewing that use, that zoning. But if you're reviewing a deck or even a septic, like there is actually no planning mechanism to change a septic. You would have to essentially vary like the location of a house before you could vary the location of a septic. So again, like zoning when I think fully apply to that. Again, I'm not in building, so I'm not exactly sure, but I know for like the deck, they would have just reviewed the setbacks of the deck, but wouldn't have necessarily reviewed the units in the house in that regard.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, just reviewing the policies and, you know, this type of intensification that's going on the lot, the policies are very clear. These are to be directed to settlement areas. And not out in the rural areas. Yes, the provincial government is pushing for more residential. But I don't think this is the type of residential development that was envisioned to be occurring outside of the settlement areas. The onus is on the applicant to prove that this is a situation of legal nonconformance. And from what I can gather with the material provided to me, I don't think that's been satisfied. And I can't support this application. I don't think it meets the tests under the Planning Act that we're bound to. And therefore I don't support it. Thank you.
Henry?
Yes, that's the property is zoned as agriculture and it's also, so it's like, I think to me, it's pretty straightforward. You're not allowed to put like apartments on agricultural land. And the county staffing report also states that it's agriculture. So for those reasons that like, yeah, I can't support this application either, so.
Any other comments from the committee? Yeah, I'm gonna let it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I have one question and I'd like to hear from the applicant to respond to some of these. Steve mentioned how the original process stopped and then it became this process. Can you talk a little bit about that decision or that strategy?
I could. Mr. Morty, could I borrow your tech help to take me to slide 3 in the deck, please? Madam Chair, I am not a very good interrupter. I do hope to have an opportunity to address some of those comments really quickly, as much as I think I have the vibe of the room on this. So the reason that the township's official plan does say that if you're dealing with so you're hearing from somebody who says this is illegal non-conforming use. The township's official plan does say if somebody is wishing to come through this process, it is a zoning bylaw amendment. If I may, Madam Chair, through you borrowing Mr. Farquharson's, member Farquharson's position, if this was a new use, like a clean slot, yes, that's a zoning bylaw amendment, very straightforward as well. And I know how that one goes in that scenario. I'm here because this is legal non-conforming. So there is a typical township process that this goes through. I go back to, this is something that I'm happy to talk to everybody about. The way that the Planning Act is structured is that when we're dealing with, the enlargement of expansions or the enlargement or extensions of buildings and structures, if it was existence prior to the date a bylaw was passed, the Committee of Adjustment is empowered to make that decision. I know that's not typically how it goes around here. It is in your council approved terms of reference. It's bylaw 2022 something. I don't know what, that these applications can come through it in this regard. The zoning bylaw amendment is on pause, in part because, frankly, we've had some challenges getting that thing processed. I think you might understand what some of those comments were and are. So, trying to keep this genteel and diplomatic, we've been doing what the township has been asking us to do and looking at this proposal and encouraging some things. And we had a lot of reasons to be really optimistic about the zoning process. Suffice to say, it doesn't look like that was going to go it doesn't appear that that one was going our way either. So we're taking this through a process that's empowered by the Planning Act, enabled by the Planning Act, that this corporation's council has empowered you to decide upon as well. We're here with this application, 1, 2, 3 speakers. I can see how it's going. I regret my choice of words about, the policies not mattering, because obviously they do matter. I've come forward with an analysis that does say, I think we would conform with those policies if we were going through that route. Staff have a different opinion, and we know how that, well, you know how it goes sometimes when there's decisions like this, right? So I think I put forward a reasonable position, and we'll do it at that. Is this a good time for me to address the information that we're providing tonight, Madam Chair?
Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just before the applicant goes into yes, it is in the powers of the committee to review expansions of buildings, legal non-conforming buildings. It still has not been established that it's legal non-conforming. So yes, I don't need to be educated on the powers of the committee under the Planning Act. This has not been shown to be legal non-conforming in my opinion. So that's why I questioned why the ZBA process stopped to legalize that use under the zoning bylaw and to come through the Committee of Adjustment. So yes, it is in the power as outlined on that screen that the applicant is showing. But in order for the committee to consider the expansion of these types of buildings, it has to be established as being legal. Thank you.
And staff?
Sorry, I just want to kind of add on to that, just because I've been very enveloped in legal nonconforming in the past couple of months. Upon consultation with our solicitor and reading a lot of case law, 45(2)(a) and AI, I guess the first one, the legal structure of this does say lawfully used for the purpose prohibited. So essentially, if that can't be proven through the documents provided or, the history of a file or things like that, it actually can't even move through to the next phase of that. So consideration for expansion cannot be considered if it can't be legally established prior to that. Now, we actually found the 1971 zoning bylaw that would have been in place when this farmhouse was converted to these apartment buildings. And we were able to pinpoint the zoning that was in place back then. And back then, we didn't even have any policies to permit 2 houses on a property. Some of them, later on, permitted a farmhouse with farm hands who were able to stay in those second houses. But in 1971, that building could essentially just be a single detached dwelling. So when we kind of went back in that regard, the lawfully establishment key for us was really not proven as one of the tests. And this is kind of also where a lot of this, we're stating that you can't really expand it, because if you can't legally establish that use, then it kind of stops that process fully. I think I explained that right.
Did you want to continue of the papers that? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I think
Go
the
ahead,
agent
sorry.
wanted to speak to it, yeah.
I appreciate that, Ms. Hodden. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm doing my best to answer committee questions around here. We all agree on like the process around legal nonconformity. We all agree. The difference of opinion that's here is whether this is legally established and legally existing, and it's not. Parking that aside, one element of the record that I do want to clarify is that the legal opinion was submitted with the application. The water main installation is tab 5 of this letter. The creation history and the rent receipts was tab 7 of that letter. That letter did not find its way into your agenda packages. So, whatever, life happens. But let's be clear, I've tried to put this information in front of this committee and this corporation. I just want that. I think I know where we're going with this, but I want the record clear on that, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the committee? Mike?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Netherby, appreciate your application or your presentation. With no disrespect, your legal opinion and anybody's legal opinion is of equal value to me. Lots of different opinions, and I may or may not be the person on this committee that is the most favorable with development and changes, and I think it's great. I tend to agree with Steve on this one. There's too much unclear stuff for us to make a decision that should have been made with the zoning bylaw amendment. So, Mr. Let's go and do it. I don't feel right doing it with the current status of the zoning, the questions and the process so far.
And quickly, Madam Chair, the zoning process is not stopped, it's paused. I'll be debriefing with the clients, depending on what happens here and figuring out next steps.
Any comments from the committee? May I have a motion from one of the committee members for application A14/25? Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I put a motion forward that the application be denied as per the staff report. Thank you.
Seconder? Brad? That the Committee of Adjustments, having given consideration to the applicable provision of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and the surrounding as addressed in the planning report on application dated June 25, 2025, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearings held on June 25, 2025, and the decision of the matter hereby denied application A14/25. All in favor? Carried. Thanks very much.
Thank you for having us.
Will I have the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the application item number 4.4 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.4 on the agenda is minor variance application A15/25 submitted by L. Veenstra regarding lands known municipally as 3356 Floss Road 4 West. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit the construction of a single-story detached accessory building, which will vary on the permitted location provisions and exceed the maximum total area and height provisions of zoning bylaw 5000 as described. 1. Accessory buildings shall be permitted to be erected in the yard adjacent to Slemish Avenue, whereas Section 3.7.3 permits accessory buildings to be erected to the rear of the projected front main wall of the main building. And 2. A maximum height for a single-story detached accessory building of 5 meters, whereas Section 3.7.5B permits a maximum height less than the primary dwelling to a maximum of 4.5 meters. And 3, a maximum total area of accessory buildings or structures of 142 square meters, whereas Section 4.3.12 permits a maximum total area of accessory buildings or structures of 65 square meters.
Have any additional correspondence and/or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, Enbridge Gas, Ms. M. Daly, residents of 1 Riverside Road and 12 Slemish Avenue, and Source Water Protection.
Can I please have the applicant introduce themselves and provide any comment if
Hi, I'm Lee Veenstra. I think a shop's a great idea. don't have anything to say.
Yep, that's okay. Are there any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
Thank you, Chair. There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Thank you. Are there any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Seeing none. Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? Henry?
Yes, so through you, Chair, are you building a house here too, or is it just a garage?
Yeah, that's the plan. Waiting on permits. Well, I screwed up. I designed the house myself. Turns out I'm a terrible designer. So it's that Springwater engineer. The drawings are just getting wrapped up and then hopefully have a permit soon. I'm hoping to build the house this year and hopefully the shop too, but the shop I might build next year.
Okay, yeah, well, so I have a concern with it just being, as the application is just as a shop, like, I mean, with the concerns of the local residents, if there's not gonna be a house there, my concern then is like traffic and everything else that's going to be put on with this shop, like, and I don't know what the shop is, like, is it a mechanic shop, is it
No, it's just to store my stuff. I have a small building business, so I got a couple of trailers and a couple of vehicles. And I just want to be able to store excess tools in my trailer inside. So I'm not gonna, like, the plan is to move in there and then bring all my stuff with me. So I'm not gonna build the shop first anyways. I'm gonna build the house and then it's just gonna be a storage garage.
so my question is like, I wish you to come with the design of the house first and then like better description as to what you were planning on doing, so
There is like all the permits are in place.
yeah, but we don't see any of that, like, so I mean, I'm just going based on your application and to me is you want to put in a garage or shop,
Okay.
whatever.
I don't have any of that with me. I want the house, Mason. I mostly want the house.
So my question is, would it be advisable that you come back at a later date with a better proposal or a proposal as for the whole lot? That's what I'm asking you and the committee and staff too, so.
I can come back later if you wish. After the house is built, this is kind of just trying to get all my permits in order so I can get going.
Thanks. I'm just gonna pass it to staff for more clarification.
Thank you through the chair. I didn't think it was necessary to submit the entire building package for the house that's proposed and the garage that's proposed, but I could have done that definitely. In the site plan that is attached to my report, there's a new single detached dwelling that's proposed. It's outlined. And we have received a building permit for that application as well as for a detached garage for personal use. The use wasn't specified in the public notice, where afterwards it was after it was sent out to the public, we received several comments. I wasn't able to respond to many of them because there was no number or email or return address for 2 out of 3. But the one that I did respond to, I was very clear in an email correspondence that the garage is for personal use. That's what's being proposed, and if it is approved, that is all it's being approved for, not a commercial shop, which there's some stipulation and concern that it would be used for. And so the nature of this application is for an accessory building which cannot exist without the primary building first. So by virtue of that, even if this application was approved, it would still be required to have a house built on the property with a building permit before the garage could be constructed.
Thanks for the clarification. Brad?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a minor question. Will you have driveways to Slemish and Floss Road 4?
I was hoping so, yeah.
Does staff know if the county allows driveways onto their roads? I know the policy used to be if you abut any other road but a county, they won't give you an entrance, but I know every house along there is onto the county road.
Staff?
This application was received as a building permit first. The only reason it was given to me was because it was identified as needing a variance partially for being classified as a through lot in our zoning bylaw. A through lot is a lot with frontage on two opposing sides of the lot. So in this case, there is an entrance permit existing for Slemish Avenue and for Floss Road 4 West. That is actually where the first variance comes through because we do not allow construction of accessory buildings in front of a primary or main wall of a primary dwelling. Because there's two frontages, both sides of the primary dwelling are considered to be areas you can't construct an accessory building. It's probably something we have to fix in the zoning bylaw, and I'm not sure how it got there, but that's why the first variance is there, so that the owner can construct any accessory building on principle in the yard between the main wall of the primary dwelling and Slemish Avenue. But I'd like to just add to that, the wording is general so that any accessory building could be constructed in that area. Because of the exception number 3, which is being proposed, the minor variance for the size or total area of accessory buildings, this is proposing to reach a maximum that exceeds, so there wouldn't be allowed any future buildings in that area after this.
Follow on?
Yeah, is the house or the accessory building abutting Slemish?
The accessory building is closer to Slemish.
Okay, so the house will be
So the
abutting
house will be
Floss
on
Road 4,
Floss-
just like all the other
just like-
houses. Okay.
Any other comments from Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Typically, whenever we see these types of accessory buildings going up before the main dwelling, usually in agricultural situations where there's a barn going up before a main dwelling or it's by itself. Are you planning on using the accessory building to store materials in while you're building the house? Like, is that what's, like you said, you've got a business, but are you using this to house some of your material as you're building the main dwelling?
I have no desire to build the shop before the house. I'm gonna build the house and then I'll build the shop after. This is kind of just the order that the permits are going in.
Okay.
So it's vacant land.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Mike?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Anyone named Vistra that I've ever known over the years needs a shop for their stuff. I also recognize that the permit application process will dictate that the house gets built first. I also recognize that if there's a permit required for an entrance off a different road, that'll be a different issue that doesn't matter to this committee. I have no issue with this application. I'll support it.
Any other comments from the committee?
Yeah, no, I just wanted a bit of clarification. I was uncertain of the house, but yeah, I mean, if the house is going in first and that has to happen first, I'm totally in agreement with the application being approved as per the planning report.
Steve?
Hey, Madam Chair, just one more question. Maybe just staff may not know this, but what is the status of the building permit for the house? Like how long ago was it submitted? And it's going through the reviews process. Do you know that right now?
Staff?
No.
I wouldn't be able to confirm that, but based on what I've heard from the applicant, it seems that there's some engineering being redesigned for the house, so maybe a little while longer. But I think based on that question, if this application was to be approved as per staff's recommendation, they could be processed through the building department, but by order of how the zoning bylaw would allow the buildings, it would be held. It wouldn't actually be allowed to begin construction until after the house had at least begun construction.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? May I have a motion from one of the committee members for application A15/25? Mike?
Yeah, I move the application be approved as per the planning report and that's it.
May I have a seconder? Henry? That the Committee of Adjustments having given consideration to the applicable provisions of section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and its surrounding as addressed in the planning report on the application dated June 25, 2025, the correspondence received and the information presented at the hearing held on June 25, 2025, and discussion on the matter hereby approve application A15/25. All in favor? Carried. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the next application item number 4.5 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.5 on the agenda are consent applications B02/25 to B05/25 submitted by N. Franks on behalf of E and R Atten regarding lands known municipally as 2774 Old Second South. The purpose of the consent applications is to obtain approval to sever and create four new residential lots and one retained lot, resulting in a total of 5 lots on the subject lands. Each new residential lot is proposed to have a lot area minimum of 2,000 square meters and 30 meters of frontage along Old Second South.
Have any additional correspondence and or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from the Recreation Parks and Facilities Department, the Chief Building Official, Enbridge Gas, Hydro One, the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, Ainley Group, the Drainage Superintendent, and Source Water Protection.
Can I please have the agent introduce themselves and provide comment, if any? Mr. Franks, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Hi, everyone, and thank you for being here this evening. I've submitted this application on behalf of Aaron and Richard Atten, the owners of 2774 Old Second Road South. We're asking for approval to divide their property into 4 new residential lots while keeping their existing home on the remaining portion. These new lots are located within the Midhurst settlement area and are intended for future single-family homes that fit well with the surrounding neighborhood. Each lot is large, over ½ an acre, with plenty of frontage along Old Second Road South. The homes will start out on private wells and septic systems, but everything has been planned so they can connect to municipal water and sewer when services become available in the area. We've completed all necessary studies and worked closely with both the Township of Springwater and the NVCA. The NVCA is in support of the application as we were able to demonstrate minimal impact to the environment. All building areas are located outside any slope or hazard zones, and storm water will drain naturally and safely across the lots without impacting neighbors or the road. Driveways have also been placed within proper sight lines and safety in mind. This is a straightforward, low-impact proposal that creates a few new homes in a location that's already been planned for growth. On behalf of the Atten family, we respectfully ask that you support this application, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
Thank you, Chair. There have been no members of the public who have registered to make any oral submissions for this application.
Thank you. Are any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Seeing none. Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question to staff. What is the official plan? When's the trigger for it to go to plan a sub? Is it more than the number of units that are being requested, the lots?
Staff?
What's the number?
Sorry, staff?
Through the chair. I don't know if we have like an official number, but I think usually if it goes like between 4 and 6, we normally say that it needs to switch to a plan of sub, which is, I believe, why the applicant has decided to be under that. Just to, I will also note that there is also going to be a development agreement as part of one of these conditions. So it's kind of like a mini plan of sub. So it's still going to have some of those components in there. It's just not as intricate as a full plan of subdivision.
Thank you.
Any other committee members? Mike?
Not a question, just a comment from the geography and the intent and the zoning and what's going on around the world, around that neighborhood. I think this is a very positive thing, so I'll be supporting it.
Thank you. May I have a motion for one of the committee members for application B02/25-B05/25? Henry?
I make a motion that we accept the application as presented along with the staff planning report to be submitted.
May I have a seconder? Mike? That the Committee of Adjustments, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of section 53 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and its surrounding as addressed in the planning report on the application dated June 25, 2025, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearings held on June 25, 2025, and the discussion on the matter hereby approve applications B02/25-B05/25, subject to the following conditions. 1, that the applicant meet all the requirements, financial or otherwise, of the municipality, including postings of securities. 2, that the applicant provide 2 copies of the registered survey of the severed and retained lots prepared by the Ontario Land Surveyor. 3, that the owner applicant satisfy and be responsible for all costs to satisfy Section 65 of the Drainage Act 1990 if applicable. 4, that the applicant provide confirmation that the reasonable use guidelines can be met with the respect of sanitary services and severed and retained lots. 5, that the applicant be required to pay the township a parkland dedication fee for new lots in the line of the township's parkland dedication policy. 6, that the applicant apply for a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone the severed lots to the residential R1 zone. 7, that the applicant apply and obtain an entrance permit for each new lot to the satisfaction of the township. And 8, that the applicant enter into a consent agreement with the township related to, but not limited to, the following matters. A, drainage stormwater management plan. B, reasonable use assessment. C, hydrogeological report. D, provisions of driveway access. And E, provision of erosion access if required. F, utility plans. G, parkland cash in lieu. And H, securities. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I have a mover and a seconder to adjourn this meeting? Steve? And Brad, that the Committee of Adjustments meeting held on June 25, 2025, now adjourned at 7:04 p.m. All in favor? Carried.